Hello students, welcome to CBSE Solutions by Vedantu. This is Baswaraj sir, your biology master teacher. Now, this is the first class, right? This is the first class from your class 11th botany chapters, right? So, let me introduce myself. My name is Baswaraj sir, and I'll be handling your all the sessions. One second, students. One second. Let me just close this. Yes, perfect. Some random things is playing in the background, so let's ignore that. My own voice, technically. So students, what we'll be doing in this line by line, right? So we'll be tackling every single line of NCERT, right? We'll be tackling every single line of NCERT, and we will be understanding every single line of NCERT one by one. So if you have any doubt to me, and you can always ask me the doubt in the chat, and I will reply to you that time. Okay. So let's start by the living world chapter, the first chapter, very easy chapter. Now, first of all, tell me, what is the major difference between a living and non-living? What is the major difference between a living versus non-living? Living versus non-living. For example, I have a bottle here. Tell me if this bottle is living or non-living. You are like, what are you telling, sir? This bottle right here is said to be non-living in nature. Yes, it is non-living in nature. Now, what about this pen? This pen is also non-living. What about me? I am also living, right? I am also living. So, if I tell you that what is the major difference between non-living and living is that living things such as I and all of you, aren't we made up of living cells? Yes, we are made up of living cells. Non-living, not so much, right? Not so much. So that is the first major difference between living and non-living. Now, apart from that, there are multiple characters, or can I call it properties of a living things, right? Multiple properties or characters of living things, such as it could be reproduction, growth, metabolism, consciousness, response to stimuli. All of these becomes different properties of living of a individual. So let's start reading the NCERT lines. You will get a better idea. Okay, you'll get a better idea if you start reading the NCERT lines. Let's read. How wonderful it is! How wonderful is the living world? Obviously, very wonderful. The wide range of living items is amazing. The extraordinary habitats in which we find living organisms. For example, tell me, on this surface of this phone right now, do you think there is a living organism on the surface of the phone? If you tell me, sir, no, I cannot find any animal there, therefore it is non-living, it does not have any organism, but you're wrong. Even on the surface of this particular phone, there will be microorganisms. Now, what about in the mountain? There also will have organisms. What about in the ocean? Organisms. What about the hot springs? There also you will find certain microorganism. Tag polymerase, right? Tag polymerase. Thermus aquaticus. Right? Then what about this bottle? On the surface of this bottle also we'll have organisms. Inside the water also there might be certain microorganisms. So microorganisms or organisms in fact can be found anywhere. Right? See, it could be cold mountains. On cold mountains we'll find some snow leopard, small certain type of gymnosperms, deciduous forest, yes, ocean, fresh water, everywhere, including desert and hot spring, we will find organisms to survive. Okay, the beauty of galloping horses, that is running horses, of a migrating birds, a valley of flowers, or a attacking shark evokes awe and a deep sense of wonder. Basically, it'll make you speechless. Like, imagine one nice horse coming running towards you. Like, wow, what a beautiful horse. Wide valley of flowers. You'll be like, oh my god, such a beautiful valley of flowers. So all they're trying to tell you in the first two lines is that nature is amazing. Nature can make you speechless. It can make you completely speechless. That beautiful the nature is, right? The ecological conflict and cooperation among members of a population and among population of a community, or even the molecular traffic inside a cell, makes us deeply reflect on what indeed is life. So here they're telling you is, first of all, understand what is community. Community is basically a group of species. A group of species. Now you tell me, if there's a group of species, will there be fight among them? Yes, there is fight. Imagine in your house only, if a cousin is coming and staying in your house for one day, 2 days, you'll be fine. On the 10th day, you will be annoyed. Little bit of annoy will happen. You're like, why this person is coming here? Why is my cousin brother taking my keyboard? Why is my cousin brother playing games in my computer? You will also think. So wherever there is a community, there is always interactions. Always and always there are interactions. Now, even at that molecular traffic, like how Bangalore traffic is there, even at the molecular level, there will be some traffic. For example, we have a cell, right? For example, we have a cell. Inside the cell, we have a nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi body, ribosomes. So many components are filled in the cell. That's why it is creating a traffic, right? Now, this question has two implications. That is, what question? What is life? What is life? There are two implications to what is life right now. Okay. The first is a technical one and seeks an answer to what living is opposed to the non-living. So, first one they're asking you is what is living? Obviously, any organism which shows growth, any organism which shows reproduction, any organism which shows metabolic reactions, any organism which shows consciousness is living in nature. Yes. And the second one is a philosophical one. What is philosophical one? What is life? You have heard now Guru's this famous, what do I say? The Gurus, they tell, what is life? I will tell, life is nothing but chemical reactions. Life is nothing but a mix of chemical reaction from according to my side. Okay. Life is a mixture of chemical reactions. You see someone, chemical reactions. You clear NEET examination, chemical reactions in your mind. So what is life? Life is nothing but chemical reactions. Okay. And seeks to answer what is the purpose of life. As a scientist, we shall not attempt answering the second option, that is the philosophical one. Let's leave that second option, what is life, to gurus only. Okay. We will try to reflect on the what is living. So what we will try to learn this chapter is, what is the meaning of living in the terms of science? According to science, what is living? Okay. Let's go to the next paragraph. Now, students, in this particular chapter, for the next 1 hour or so, we will be learning something called as different characters. We will be learning different characters. We will be learning. It could be growth, it could be reproduction, cellular consciousness, metabolism, and all those. Okay. These characters, the entire characters can be grouped into two categories. For example, the entire characters can be divided into something called as fundamental character, or we can call them defining character. We can call them defining character. Now, what is the main difference between fundamental and defining? Very simple again, very simple. Fundamental character will have certain exceptions. There can be certain exceptions here. But in a defining character, if I tell this character is defining, it means that there are no exceptions whatsoever. No exceptions. No exceptions. For example, if I tell you right now, plants' leaf are green in color. Simple statement. The leaves are green in color. Simple statement is, leaves are green in color. Leaves are green in color. Simple statement. Now you are supposed to tell me this statement right here is fundamental or defining. Okay. This is a simple statement. Leaves are green color. Now tell me, are there any exception to this? Do all the leaves in the world are always green color? No. Sometimes a leaf can change the color into bright red, orange, sometimes even slight yellow color. That is a chlorophyllous condition. So if there are exceptions, this will become a fundamental character. Fundamental, because there are exceptions. Now I'll give you one more statement. Chlorophyll A is present in all plants. Now all of you know, chlorophyll A is a universal pigment. Chlorophyll A is present in all the plants without exception. So chlorophyll A is present in all the plants will become what? It will become a defining character, because there are no exception to this. If a plant has to be called as plant, it needs to have chlorophyll A. Understood? So if there are any exception to a character, it will become fundamental. If there are no exception, it will become defining. Okay. Now with that being in mind, let's go ahead right now. Beginning part was nothing. In beginning part, all I thought was organisms can be found anywhere in the world. It could be, all the way from the water, or this bottle right here, or the phone right here. Any single part of the world, you think there will be some organisms. Even space also will have some organisms, like a microbes will be there even in the space. That was basically the first part. That's all. Okay. Now students, let's read what is given in NCERT now. Now all of you are aware of something called as fundamental and defining. All of you know the difference now. With that difference in mind, let's read what is given in NCERT now. Okay. In plants, the growth by cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. What is the meaning of this? The meaning of this is plants keep on growing. Meaning here is very simple. Plants will keep on growing. I'm saying that color is not visible. Plants will keep on growing. Plants will keep on growing because of the meristematic cells. Obviously, because of meristematic cells. Like if humans also have meristematic cells, even we will keep on growing. Your height, generally in the case of boys, the height stops at around 22 years old, 21 years old. Imagine even if you had meristematic cells, even you would continuously keep on growing them. Okay, so only plants can keep on growing, not us. In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain age, 21 in case of boys, 18 to 19 in the case of girls. However, cell division occurs in certain tissues to replace lost cells, obviously. Now next statement. Unicellular organisms, basically microorganisms, prokaryotes, right? Even eukaryotes, certain eukaryotes also. Unicellular organisms, single cell, grow by cell division. So, in the case of unicellular organisms, understand the statement. Growth equals reproduction. Every single time a microbe is growing, it is reproducing. Every single time a unicellular organism is reproducing, it is growing. So growth and reproduction are same to same. Meaning is same in the case of unicellular organisms. Okay, unicellular organisms. Okay, and see my other students coming here also. Tanuja also is here. Okay. Now, one can easily observe this in vitro cultures by simply counting the number of cells under the microscope. Obviously, you can count the number of microscope. If you go look under the microscope, you can count the number of cells. For example, we have one cell. This one cell will divide into two cells. Now, is this growth? Yes, this is growth. Is this reproduction? Yes, it is reproduction. Both meaning is same. Growth and reproduction. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. Growth is separate, reproduction is separate in the case of higher plants and higher animals. One must remember that increase in body mass is considered as growth. So increase in number of cells and increase in mass, both of them can be called as growth. Non-living objects also grow. Non-living also grows. Let me tell you how. Understand. How do non-living things grow? For example, students, right here, let me erase this part and so I can write it here. Okay, let's draw it here only. It's very simple to understand. Imagine we have a mountain here. If you go to Himachal Pradesh right now, you will not see it. But in the month of December or November, if you go to Himachal Pradesh or Jammu Kashmir, right, can you see the snow formation on top of the mountains? Like this, can you see the snow formation on the top of mountains? Yes. You will see some form of snow formation. So can I call that growth? Yes. I can call this as a growth. This is a growth. This is called as extrinsic growth. Growth from the outside. So imagine initially the mountain was like this. It became something like this later on. That is accumulation of snow on the top. Accumulation of snow on the top. That is called as a growth in the case of non-living things. Growth along as non-living things. For example, sand dunes. Sand dunes formation happens. Extrinsic growth. Now what about us, humans? Are we growing from the outside? No. We are growing from the inside. We have something called as intrinsic growth. We are showing intrinsic growth, while your objects like your mountain or sand dunes are showing extrinsic growth. But are the non-living things showing growth? Yes, they are showing some form of growth. Okay, they are showing some form of growth. This is called as extrinsic growth. Very good, Tanuja. Extrinsic growth. Okay. Non-living objects also grow if you take increase in body mass as certain criteria of growth. Mountains, boulders, sand mounds do grow. See, we learned here, they are growing in size from the outside. However, this kind of growth exhibited by non-living object is by accumulation of material on the surface. See, this was the mountain. On top of the mountain, there was accumulation of snow. Accumulation on top. Right? In living organisms, growth is from the inside. Intrinsic growth in the case of humans, from the inside. Okay. Now, growth, therefore, cannot be taken as defining property of living organisms. Why, students? Because we learned here. Students, a defining property should not have any exception, no exception. But for growth, do we have an exception now? For growth, do we have an exception? Yes. For growth, there is exception because non-living things will also show growth. So growth can be called as fundamental character. It is a fundamental character. Why? Because there is exception. Because there is exception. I will call it fundamental. Then. Done. Fundamental. Growth is over. Okay. Let's see what is given here. Conditions under which it can be observed in all living organisms have to be explained, and that we understand that it is a characteristic of living system. A dead organism do not grow. So it is a character. Growth is a character of living, but it is a fundamental character, not a defining character. Growth is a character of living, but it is a fundamental character, not a defining character. Next one is reproduction. Now, growth is done. Now let's understand reproduction. Reproduction. Very simple again, reproduction. Okay. Likewise is a character of living organisms. Okay. So let's write down. Reproduction is also a character of growth. Reproduction is also a character of growth. Now we will understand it is fundamental or defining now. Okay. Let's understand if it is fundamental or defining. Okay. Fundamental or defining. In multicellular organisms, all of us, reproduction refers to the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to the parents. That is, like begets like. What is the meaning of that? Like begets like means a dog will give birth to a puppy, a cat will give birth to a kitten, a human female will give birth to a baby, human fetus. You will never see in nature a dog giving birth to a cat. You will never see that. Okay, it will never happen that a dog will give birth to a cat. Reproduction is nothing but production of a young one or the production of offspring which is similar to the parents. Okay. Invariably and implicitly we refer to as sexual reproduction. So in sexual reproduction there is fusion of gametes. That's all. Organisms reproduce by asexual means also. Obviously, asexual means is also there. Fungi multiply and spread easily due to the millions of asexual spores they reproduce. So fungi does asexual reproduction with the help of spores, basidiospores, ascospores. You will learn all that in next chapter. Okay. In lower organisms like your yeast and hydra, we observe budding. All of you know yeast is budding. One bud is there. One more bud will grow. This is called as budding. In hydra also we can see budding. Yes. In planaria we can see something called as regeneration. Yes. We observe regeneration. Then we have fragmentation. Give me an example in the chat, all of you quickly. What is an example for fragmentation? Fragmentation, spirogyra. Right. Once spirogyra is there, it will break into two pieces. Each fragment will grow into an adult. Fragmentation. Yes. Fragmentation. Organism regenerates the lost of part its body and becomes a new organism. The fungi, the filamentous algae, the protonema of moss all easily multiply by fragmentation. The mosses, algae, Spirogyra is an algae, right? Even fungi can multiply by fragmentation. It comes to unicellular organisms like bacteria, unicellular algae or amoeba. Reproduction is very important line, multiple questions have come from here. Reproduction is synonymous with growth. What is the meaning of this? Here, this is the meaning. This is the meaning right here. Growth equals reproduction. That is the meaning. Growth and reproduction are same to same in the case of unicellular organisms. Growth and reproduction. That is the meaning there. Okay. That is increase in number of cells. We have already defined growth as an equivalent to increase in number of cell or mass. We did that right here. Increase in number of cell or increase in number of mass. Both can be called as growth. Okay. Hence we notice that a single cell organisms, we are not very clear about the usage of two terms. Okay. Growth and reproduction. What is the difference between growth and reproduction? It is not very well defined in the case of unicellular organisms. Why? Because growth and reproduction are almost same to same in the case of unicellular organisms. Both are same to same. So there is no much difference here. Okay. Now there are many organisms which do not reproduce. Exception. For example, infertile couple. An infertile couple will never reproduce, obviously because they are important. What about mules? Mules also don't reproduce. What about drone bee? They also do not reproduce. That is, there are exceptions to this reproduction. Understand? Which do not grow. Mules, sterile, worker bees, that is drones, infertile couples, they do not grow. So students, you tell me, if there is an exception to reproduction, will it be fundamental or defining then? Then be again fundamental because there is exception. Fundamental. That's all. So reproduction is also a fundamental character of living. It is a fundamental character of living. Reproduction. Done. Next. So hence reproduction also cannot be an all-inclusive defining character of living organisms. Of course, no non-living object is capable of reproduction or replicating itself. Non-living things cannot do that. Only living things can do it, but there are exceptions even in living also. Now next one, metabolism. Okay, let's write down metabolism here now. Metabolism. What about metabolism? Understand. Very simple it is. What about metabolism? Okay. All living organisms are made up of chemicals. I told you in the starting only. What is living? Living is nothing but chemical reaction. All of us are made of chemicals. Organic and inorganic things. Organic things like carbon and everything. Carbon, hydrogen, right? These chemicals, small and big, belong to various classes, sizes and functions, etc. Are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecules. For example, in the case of plants, CO2 is being converted to C6H12O6. Conversion of molecules, biomolecule. Glucose is a biomolecule. These conversions are chemical reactions or metabolic reactions. Yes, they are metabolic reactions. There are thousands of metabolic reactions occurring simultaneously inside all living organisms. So if you look at inside of a living organism, the production of DNA, production of an RNA, replication of a DNA, all of them are a type of reaction. Okay. They could be unicellular or multicellular. All plants, animals, fungi, microbes exhibit metabolism. That is, there is no exception here. Every organism will show metabolism, and no non-living thing will never show metabolism. Okay, a sum total, very important line, a sum total of all chemical reactions, that includes catabolism and anabolism both, occurring in our body is metabolism. That is catabolism plus anabolism. All the reactions together is called as metabolism. Okay. No non-living exhibits metabolism. Obviously, they cannot show metabolism because they do not have organic compounds. Organic compounds. Yes. Metabolic reactions can be demonstrated outside the body in a cell-free system. See, metabolism can also be shown in a test tube. Metabolism can be shown in a test tube. But the reactions happening there, right, are living reactions. The metabolism may be happening outside the body, but all the reactions which is happening there, right, are living reactions. That is why there are no exceptions. Okay. See, an isolated metabolic reaction outside the body of an organism performed in a test tube is neither living or non-living. Obviously, if you make an test tube, if you're doing some reaction, it is neither living or non-living. While metabolism is a defining feature of all living organisms without exception. Why? Because isolated metabolic reactions which are happening in vitro are not living things but surely living reactions. Yes, the test tube is non-living. The chemicals which are used are non-living. But the reaction, the metabolic reaction is living reaction. So that is why, students, that is why there are no exception. There are no exception when it comes to metabolism. Unicellular, multicellular, plants, animals, fungi, microbes, every single organism, living organism, will show metabolism, and that is why it is called as a defining character. Called as a defining character. Understood, all of you? That's why it's called as a defining character. Metabolism. There are no exceptions whatsoever. Beautiful. Next one. Students, write down this few points here and there, so it will help you also. Somewhere it will help you. See, cellular, next. Cellular organization of a body is the defining feature of the life form. Cellular organization also is defining. Cellular organization also will write down. Cellular organization is also defining because there are no exceptions. Every single unicellular, it is made up of a cell. It has organization within the cell. A multicellular organism will also have cellular organization. So it is a defining thing. Okay, a defining thing. Metabolism is done. Cellular organization, they have given you only one line which explains why cellular organization. Everywhere, every living thing will have cellular organization. There is no exception whatsoever here. Okay, now the last one, that is consciousness. Little bit of trouble everyone will have to understand, because perhaps the most obvious and technical complicated feature of all living organism is ability to sense their surrounding. For example, you tell me, if I take this bottle, if I take this bottle and throw it at you, what will you do? You will either catch the bottle, or if the bottle is coming all the way to your face, you will turn and the bottle will go past. That will happen for sure, right? Either you will catch the bottle or move away. In your house, if there is a very tasty biryani someone is making, can you stop your mouth from watering? No. If you eat non-veg, that is, if you eat non-veg, you will go near biryani and you will take your plate and you will hit the plate. Mommy, one spoon you will give, tasting, one spoon you will give me. You will tell no. So that is called as responding to stimuli. You are responding to a stimuli. For example, if you see for example, you are going shopping, you see a beautiful dress, and you saw a beautiful hoodie, cool hoodie, if you see, obviously your eyes will go there. You respond to a stimuli there. Respond to a stimuli, right? Now this response to stimuli can be multiple ways. For example, and respond to this environmental stimuli, which could be physical, chemical, or biological. Any kind of stimuli can be there. For example, a nice food, biological, right? For example, plants. For example, we have a plant here. A plant is growing. This is a flower. And here we have the sun. Will the plant bend towards the sunlight? That is called as phototropism. Plant is responding to the light. Yes, respond to the light. Exactly, that will happen. We sense our environment through the our senses, through our senses, sense organs like touch, nose, sight, hearing, mouth, right? Plants respond to external factors like light, water, temperature, and other organisms, pollutants, etc. Give me an example of pollutants. There's something called as lichen. Lichen will never grow if there is pollution. Less pollution, lichen will nicely grow. Bring in some nice pollution, it will like tata bye bye, I'm going from here. Okay. All organisms from the prokaryote to the most complex eukaryote can sense and respond to environmental cues. Even a bacteria, even a small bacteria will sense the food around it. As soon as the food is reducing, a bacteria will tell, now we have to sacrifice someone so that the colony can survive. That is called as quorum sensing. So bacteria is so intelligent, it knows that yes, the food is ending. So we are supposed to prioritize the who will survive, who will be dead. Quorum sensing, look it up. Photoperiod affects the reproduction in several seasonal breeding, both plants and animals. Okay. All organisms handle chemical entering their body. Obviously, all organisms therefore are aware of their surroundings. Human beings, okay, very, very important now. So till now, can I tell consciousness? Can I tell consciousness is what? Can I tell? One second, students, this pen is not writing for some reason. Stupid pen. Can I tell? Why is it not writing? Okay, let me just check again now. Can I tell consciousness? Okay, come. Finally, it came back. Consciousness. Is defining, because I told you every living organism is conscious. Bacteria to multicellular organism, consciousness. So remember these 5 different characters of living. Remember them. Which is defining, which is fundamental. Okay. Now there's one concept called as self-consciousness. What is the meaning of this self-conscious now? Self-conscious is very simple. When you are going to your school, do you get ready to go to school? Yes. When you are going to one party, you'll get dressed nicely and go. Why? Because you know someone will look at you and you're self-aware. So someone will look at you and you're self-aware. Okay, I'm looking nice, my hair is set today, nice t-shirt I'm wearing. Because you're self-aware. A particular cheetah will never tell one spot is missing. One plant will never tell when one leaf is missing. Plants and animals do not have this self-awareness. Only we humans have this self-awareness. So can I tell self-awareness as fundamental or defining? Tell me then. Tell me. Right. You have to write it down. Write it down. PDF will not be available anywhere for this one. Write it down. It's few points right down here and there. Okay. Now tell me, self-awareness is fundamental or defining then? Self-awareness. Tell me. Self-awareness is going to be fundamental then. Why? Because there are exceptions. What is the exception? Self-awareness is only happening in the case of humans. Self-awareness will not happen in a cheetah telling you one spot is missing, one tiger will be like, no, one stripe is missing, zebra will tell, oh, one line is missing. It will never tell. So there are exceptions to self-awareness. Self-awareness is a fundamental character, not a defining character. Consciousness is a defining character. Okay, consciousness is a defining character. Defining property of the living organisms. Okay, so it is, where are we now? Where are we now? Here. When it comes to human beings, it is all more difficult to define living state. We observe patient lying in coma. Very good question again now. Now you tell me, if patient is in coma, you go and sing in front of them, you go dance in front of them, you keep biryani in front of the person in coma, the person will never respond. A person will never respond to all of that. His sense organs are not able to see the biryani, the sense organs are not able to respond to the dance or music or anything. Not responsive. Then what do I call then? Can I call the living person in the coma living or dead then? Tell me. Tell me. Will it be living or dead person? Person in coma. Obviously, here I told you, I wrote here for all of you, consciousness is a defining. Consciousness is defining, which means there are no exceptions here. No exception. Every living organism will have consciousness. Now tell me now, will the person in coma has consciousness or not then? He should have consciousness. But just now I told you a person will never be able to see dance, he'll never be able to listen to a song, he'll never respond to any food. Then how can I call it consciousness then? Very simple, students, very simple, understand. How is that person alive? Tell me, a person in coma. The person in coma is alive because of the machines. He is alive because of the oxygen cylinder there for oxygen. The nutrients are being supplied to the body directly. But when the food is entering his body or her body, the coma patient, are the cells responding to the food? Tell me, are the cells responding? Cells responding to the nutrients? Yes, they're responding. If the cells did not respond to nutrients, the person would not be living at all then. So can I call it a cellular consciousness? Cellular consciousness. So a person in coma, students, a person in coma will always show cellular consciousness. Okay, he will always show cellular consciousness. Okay, a patient in otherwise brain supported by machines which replace the heart and lungs. A patient in otherwise brain dead, patient has no self-consciousness. Are they never good patients are never going to come back to normal life? Living or dead? Living. Because of cellular consciousness. Because of cellular consciousness. Very simple. Okay. Now, in higher classes, you will come to know that all living phenomena are due to underlying interactions. Okay. It could be commensalism, amensalism, mutualism, all that you learn in class 12th. Properties of tissues are not present in constituent cells but arise as a result of interaction among the constituent cells. You will learn all this in class 12th. Similarly, properties of unicellular organisms are not present in molecular constituents of an organelle but arise as a result of interaction among the molecular components comprising the organelle. Basically telling every single response to stimuli is because of interaction. That's all. And they'll never ask a question from here. Okay. This phenomena is true in hierarchy of organizational complexities in all levels. Therefore, we can say that living organisms are self-replicating, evolving, self-regulating, interactive system capable of responding to external stimuli, the humans. Any living organism is able to self-replicate, that is reproduction, evolve, yes, because of sexual reproduction, self-regulating, yes, we can regulate ourselves by eating food, and interactive system. Biology is the story of life on earth. Biology is the story of evolution of living organisms on earth. All living organisms, present, past, or the future, are linked to one another by the sharing the common genetic material but of varying degrees. That is, a bacteria and us, we are connected. Bacteria, when the first life formed, we had prokaryotic bacteria. The prokaryotic bacteria became eukaryotic bacteria. The eukaryotic bacteria evolved again and we got some organisms. And that's how with the tree of evolution, one by one, we are right now humans. So can I tell all the organisms at some level are connected to each other? Yes. That's all. So with that being said, students, your first part of the chapter is over. That is, what is living is over now. What is living is over. Now we'll go to the second part of the chapter, that is called as diversity. Diversity in living world. Diversity in the living world. So let me know if you are ready for the next part of the class. Yo. Students, from the first part of the class now, all they'll ask you is, if they ask you ever, and if you remember, NEET 2024, not even a single question came from here, right? So if they ask you a question from what is living, the only question is going to be, of all the 5 characters, which is fundamental, which is defining. That is going to be the major question there. Apart from that, there won't be any high-fi level question from the first part of it. Similarly, in the biodiversity, I'll tell you exactly from where the question can be asked. Okay, I can tell you exactly where the question can be asked, and it has been asked before. Let's start one by one. If you look around you, all of you look around you. If you look around, right, you will see a large variety of living organisms. Look around you. If I look around this entire room right now, in one corner I will see some spider. Under the table there will be some cockroach. Leave some sugar on the table, you will see ants. Right? So within your house only you will see so many organisms. Within your house only you will see all of them. Right? So be it at a potted plants. Yes, you will have potted plants in your room. Insects, birds, your pet. I have a dog. See my pet also. And other organisms and plants. All of them you will see in your surroundings only. Tell me what do you have around you? All of you quickly tell me in the chat. Which organism can you find around you? Don't tell I can find my sister or brother. Apart from that, tell me, what do you find around your house or nearby you? What can you see? See, for example, I'm very sure, 100% sure, on this pen right here, there will be so many microbes. And if I lick my tongue, gone case. I'll probably fall sick. Right? So, there are so many microorganisms, organisms always around you. Lizard, oh my god, Harishin, please be careful. Lizards are very deadly. They'll cut their tail and run away. Okay. Now, there are also several organisms that you cannot see with your naked eye. I told no. On this pen, there are lot of microorganisms on top of it. Microorganisms, right? You cannot see with your naked eye. Okay. But they are all around you, always around you. If you were to increase the area that you make observations in, the range, the variety of organisms that you see would probably increase. What is the meaning of this? This line here is actually explaining. This line right here is actually explaining species area relationship. You will learn about this in your ecosystem again, in the not ecosystem. You will learn about this in the ecology. Okay. What is this species area relationship? It tells you that, obviously, right now you're in your house. Black bug, oh my god, black bug. But understand. Right now you're sitting in your room or school or anywhere. Okay, you're watching this video. If you increase the area of your search, and if you happen to have a park near your house, will you find more organisms in the park then? Now increase the radius to around 10 kilometers now. You will find more parks, you will find more organisms. Increase the wide of search for the entire state. Will you find more organisms? Yes. So what does it tell you? Species area relationship. Species area relationship tells you that the more you search, the more you find. Obviously, no. Obviously. The more you search, the more area you search, more organisms you will obviously find. It's a simple thing. Yeah. Right, more you will find, right? Now, obviously, if you were to visit a dense forest, you would probably see a much greater number of and kinds of organisms. Obviously, forest biodiversity is very high. Each different kinds of plants, animals, or microorganisms that you see represent a species. Obviously, ant is a species, microorganism is a species, dog is a species, spider is a species, your bed bug is a species. Right? Line of NCERT where the question comes from. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. That many number of species are there. 1.7 to 1.8 million. This is called as biodiversity. Bio means living, diversity means variety. Variety of different types of living organism. Like how you have if I tell you what is your favorite rice, you will tell me, sir, tomato rice, biryani, lemon rice. That is a variety of rice, right? Similarly, when we have biodiversity means variety of living organisms. So on this earth, you will find more than 1.7 to 1.5 millions of species of variety of organisms. Very simple. That's all. Or the number of types of organisms present on the earth. Variety of organisms. Same thing. We should remember here that as we explore new areas and even old ones, new organisms are continuously being identify. For example, this one forest. No one has gone to that forest. Now, as soon as you go to that forest and you find something new, biodiversity increased. Simple as that. Okay. As stated earlier, there are millions of plants and animals in the world. Millions of them. Variety are there. Okay. We know the plants and animals in our own area by the local name. Obviously, for example, what do you call mango in your language? Tell me, everyone. What do you call mango in your language? Simple, quickly, go in the chat. See, for example, in English we call it mango. Hindi, aam. Kannada, I call it Mavin Kai or Mavin Handu. In Tamil, it will be called something different. In Telugu, it will be called something different. In Malayalam, it will be called something different. Gujarat is some different name. West Bengal, in Bengal, it will be called a different name. So, a simple mango can be called as so many things in different language, right? For example, if you go to Germany, they'll call something else. Go to Italy, it'll be called something else, right? In their own language, right? So, what will happen is in local name, these local names would vary from place to place, even within a country. I told you, South India, vary. Probably you would recognize the confusion that we have created if we did not find a way to means to talk to each other, to refer to an organism that we are talking about. So if you do not have a proper way to tell, if you don't have a common name, you'll always be confused, right? Hence, there is a need of standardizing the naming of living organism. That is, from now onwards, I will call mango as Mangifera indica, and that is a standard name. Throughout the world, any country, any state in India, if I tell Mangifera indica, it means mango. So do you realize what happened now? Instead of having so many local names and everything, we need one standard name which can be recognized by anyone in the world, and that is called as nomenclature. Nomenclature is where we give a common name or a standard name to an organism. Example, Mangifera indica for mango. See here, such a particular organism is known by a same name all over the world. This process is called as nomenclature. Nomenclature means giving a standard name to an organism. For example, for gorilla, I will call gorilla. Throughout the world, throughout any state, gorilla means gorilla. Okay. Triticum aestivum, or we can call it, we have Solanum tuberosum, Solanum melongeni, Lycopersicum, right? Solanum lycopersicum. So all of these are common names which should be known for everyone. Unfortunately, all of you do not know, but you will learn someday. But the scientific names, right, are names. The process of making these standard names is called as nomenclature. It is called as nomenclature. Obviously, nomenclature or naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly, right? For example, if I ask VRJ, in the student is there, identify VRJ. If I ask VRJ to identify a mango, if I ask him to identify Mangifera indica, but he has never seen a mango, can he identify? Now you tell me. Or we can ask Tanuja. If I ask Tanuja to identify a mango, to give a name to a mango, but she has never seen a mango, then can she identify the mango? Obviously not. So if you want to give something a name, if I want to call this a bottle, I should first identify it as a bottle. If I want to name mango as Mangifera indica, first I should identify mango. Then only I can give it a name. Understanding? So I need to identify first. Once you identify, then only you can give it a name. Okay. Now, when the organism is described correctly and we know what organism the name is attached to, this is identification. So before nomenclature, identification will come. You have to identify something. Okay. In order to facilitate the study, number of scientists have established procedures to assign a scientific name to each known organism. Obviously, so throughout the world, every organism has a scientific name, identified ones. Okay. Now, this acceptable to all biologists all over the world. You cannot tell, no, I will not agree. Mango is Mangifera indica, I will call it as mango only. No, you cannot do that. Everyone should, all the biologists should be able to tell, yes, mango is a scientific name is Mangifera indica, and Mangifera indica means mango. It should be accepted. Why? Because it is given by ICBN. It is given by ICBN. You can trust ICBN. Now, what is this ICBN then? International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Understand this. For plants, students, for plants, scientific names are based on agreed principles and criteria which are provided in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. So for all the plants, the scientific names are given by ICBN, International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Now what about animals? Animals is given by ICZN, International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Zoology is animals, botany is plants, no rocket science. Okay. So for animals it is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. The scientific names ensure that each organism has only one name. You cannot have 2-3 names for mango only. Then again the same confusion will happen. I will call mango something else, you will call mango something else. So a scientific name can be only one. So one organism can have only one scientific name. Okay. Description of any organism should enable the people in any part of the world to arrive at the same name. If I tell a nice yellow color fruit is there, it's very fleshy from the inside. Inside it has a stony endocarp. Okay. The fragrance is so good. It is so sweet. It is green color when it is young. Everyone should know when you describe it, you are describing a mango. And the name should be common name. Okay. Standard name. They also ensure that such name has not been used for any other organism. Very important line again. Mangifera indica should not be used for some apple also. I cannot call apple Mangifera indica. I cannot call mango also Mangifera indica. No. One scientific name for one organism, no repetition. No repetition at all. Okay. Sir, ICBN, ICZN full is varying in NCERT. Okay. International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. For off, that's all. No big difference. International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICZN, ICBN, International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Okay. ICBN. Same thing, don't worry. Chill. Now, biologists follow universally accepted principles to provide scientific names to known organisms. Okay. Now, each name has two components. For example, let's take who should I take from the chat? Anyone? Okay. Let's take my name only. So my name. Okay. Let's take one random example. Okay, one simple example. I have a friend called as Sujit Bhatt. Or I have one more friend. Let's say one more friend. Okay, fine. I have a friend called as Sagar Francis. The Sagar and Francis, can I tell? Sagar is the first name. Francis is the last name or the surname. Yes. Sagar is the first name. Francis is the last name or surname. Similarly, a particular scientific name has two parts. A scientific name also has two parts. The first part of scientific name, students, for example, I'll tell you, Mangifera indica, same example we'll take everywhere. Okay. In Mangifera indica, this is the first name, this is the second, right? This is the first component, this is the second component. The first component here becomes generic name. The second component becomes a specific epithet. That's why it's called as binomial nomenclature. Bi means what? Bi means two. Nomenclature means giving a name. So giving two names is called as binomial nomenclature. Generic name and specific epithet. Okay. Now this system of providing a name, two components is called as binomial. Bi means two. Nomenclature means what? Two names. Nomenclature. Now this naming system was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Very important question. Who gave the binomial nomenclature? Carolus Linnaeus. Linnaeus uncle. Okay. Is practiced by biologists all over the world. This naming system uses two-word formats was found convenient. Students, remember, there is something called as trinomial, quadrinomial, mononomial nomenclature. But in your NCERT, they are only mentioning binomial. So learn binomial very well. Okay. Now let us take an example of mango to understand this. I have told you already. Mangifera indica. Mangifera represents the genus, while indica represents the species. Okay. Genus or the generic name. Indica is going to be the specific epithet, or can I also call it species. This is the species. This is the species. This is the genus. Mangifera is a genus, indica is a species. Clear? Or specific epithet. Other universal rules are follows. Now what are the rules? What are the rules now of nomenclature? First one, binomial nomenclature are generally in Latin and written in italics. See here, it is in Latin and it is written in italic. Mangifera indica is written in italics. They are Latinicized or derived from the Latin irrespective of their origin. So you might have a name in Hindi, but when you are writing the scientific name, it should always be in Latin. Standard, dead language, but yeah. The first word in the biological name represents the genus. I told you. First is genus, second is going to be species or specific epithet. Second one. Both words in biological name, when written, they are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. Do you see here? Here I underlined. Since I wrote it, I underlined it. Okay, underlined it. If I am printing it, it should be in italic. All the scientific names. Last one. The first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter. You see here. Mangifera, M is starting with a capital. While your species, I is starting as small letter. Small letter here. Indica, I is small. In Mangifera, indica. Capital, small. Second species. Okay. Now, next concept is very simple. You might think like a big paragraph. It is a very simple paragraph. Okay. Name of the author appears after the specific epithet sometimes. What is the meaning of that? So imagine, let's say Tanuja, as tomorrow in the news her name is coming. News says that Tanuja invented or discovered a new plant. And we are giving the name to the plant. And we are giving it a Latin name. After the Latin name, her name will be written after the scientific name. For example, after Tanuja's after the scientific name of the plant, we will write TANU. Obviously, because Tanuja was the one who discovered it. Now, for example, Mangifera indica was discovered by, or the scientific name was written by, Carl Linnaeus. So, can I write Lin? Yes. See? L-I-N-N. So, after the scientific name Mangifera indica, I am writing the author citation. Because it is showing the importance that, yes, this scientist discovered the plant. Okay. And remember students, lin, L is capital, Linn, and it is not Latin. So don't underline this. Do not underline this. It is not in it is not in italics. All the citation is always capital. Okay, capital. Okay. Italic scientist is so unlucky comparing to scientists from all the world. But yes, true. Plant name, right? Understood? See, this is always capital. L is capital, Linn, and it is not in italics now. Not in italics. Okay. It indicates that the species was first described by Carl Linnaeus. Since it is nearly impossible to study all living organisms in the necessary to devise some means to make all possible, this process is called as classification. Understand what is classification now? Classification is nothing but you're telling this is mango, this is your plant, this is your dog, this is cat, and everything. Classification. Okay. Classification is the process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on easily observable characters. So in classification, what do? In classification, you see something, you see character, you classify it. This is a group of dogs. See, nomenclature is different. Nomenclature is just giving a name. Nomenclature is just giving the name. Here we are grouping all the dogs, different types of German Shepherd or anything. German Shepherd, Labrador, black color lab, white color lab, white golden color lab, right? Here could be a boxer. All the different types of organisms, that is all different types of dogs, different species of dogs as dogs, canines. Okay, that is called as classification. That is making a group now. You are making a group. So in the school also you have red group, green group, yellow group, and blue group, blue team, right? That is basically classification. It will be easy to identify them. Okay. For example, we can easily recognize a group of plants or animals or dogs and cats or insects. The moment we use to try any of these terms, we associate there are certain characters with the organism in that group. Now, what do you imagine? What image do you think when you think of a dog? Tell me. So, when you think of dog, what comes to your mind? Okay, dog will say bow bow. It will have 4 legs. One mouth will be there. Sharp teeth. One tail will be there. That comes to your mind. Dog will come to your mind. This is called as classification. See, obviously, each of us will see the dog, not a cat, right? So when I told you to imagine a dog, did you think of a cat? No. A proper image of a dog came to your mind. That is called as classification. Now, the only way you are able to imagine a dog is because you know the properties of a dog. That is, now if you think of, Alsteins. Alsteins are basically a type of dog, German Shepherd dog, right? We know what we are talking about. Similarly, suppose we are to say mammals. What will come to your mind? If I say mammals, for me, one elephant is coming, blue whale is coming, right? Platypus is coming in my mind. Think of animal with external ears, body hair, right? Likewise, in plants, if you talk about wheat plant, obviously chapati will come to your head. I know, chapati will come to your head. Wheat. Picture in our head is mind of the wheat plant, not rice or any other plant. We will only think of, did you think of rice? No. Think of wheat only. If I tell you think of a cat will come to your mind. This is called as classification. Okay. Categorized, we used to study organism. The scientific term for these categories is called as taxa. So what is taxa? Taxa is nothing but categories or a rank. Taxa is basically a category or a group or a rank. Okay. So when we make such groups, right? When you make such groups, the making of a group is called as a taxa. Dogs, cats, plants, algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, whatever image comes to your mind, right? That each one is called as a taxon. Here we must recognize that taxa can be indicate categories at very different levels. Very different levels we can have different taxa. Plant also form a taxa. Weed is also a taxa. See, under plants which is also is a taxa. Can I tell algae is a group, that is a taxa? Can I tell bryophytes, that also is a taxa? Pteridophytes, that also is a taxa. Gymnosperms, that also is a taxa. It is a group, right? It is a group of organisms with a similar characters. Angiosperms, flowering plants, is also a taxa. If I talk about multicellular organisms, multicellular eukaryotes, that also is a taxa. That also is a taxa. So taxa is a group, and taxa can be present at multiple levels. Taxa can be present at multiple levels. Multiple levels. My voice is not clear, huh? Bhagat Singh, is my voice not clear? What is happening? So tell me in the chat, is my voice clear or not? It's clear, huh? Or it's not clear? Bhagat Singh, it's not clear, huh? What is this happening? Let me also check. I don't believe yours. That also is a taxa. That also is a taxa. So taxa is a group and taxa. Full liars, no? Sometimes you can't trust anyone. Yes, there is some small whoosh coming in the background, but voice is clear, right? What is this scam? Okay. Now we will learn. Similarly, animals, mammals, dogs are all taxa. Like we have vertebrates, invertebrates. Phylum is a taxa. Under phylum, mollusk, arthropods. Each one is a taxa. Taxa basically means a rank or a group. Rank or a group. Okay. Bhagat Singh is like lol, it seems. Lol. That's fine. Okay, so understood taxa, all of you? Taxa basically means a group or a rank or a level. That's all. Okay. Now, for example, give one simple example. Here we have a building. Here we have a crazy building we have, okay. We have multiple floors in a building. Multiple floors in a building. This entire building can be also called as a taxa. Each individual floor can also be called as a taxa. So understand, taxa means a particular rank or a level or particular group. Okay. Clear? Now, mammals, dogs and represents different taxa at different levels. Different taxa at different levels. Very simple. Not difficult at all. Okay, next. Hence, based on the characteristics, all living organisms can be classified into different taxas. So, based on the characters, we can have different taxa. For example, plants, chlorophyll, different taxa. Animals, different taxa. Mammals, different taxa. Right. This process of characterization, classification is called as taxonomy. Now you might ask me, sir, if taxonomy is classification, then what is the meaning of classification? What is the difference between classification and taxonomy? That doubt will come to all of you. What is the main difference between a taxonomy and taxas? So based on the character. So you will get one doubt. It's very simple. I'll tell you the difference. When we talk about classification, students, when we talk about classification, we are mostly talking about general morphological features. General morphological features. It's written here. Can you see? Classification is what? See here. Classification is what? Is convenient categories based on easily observable characters. So classification is nothing but morphological or easily observable characters. That is your classification. Then what is taxonomy? Taxonomy will not just include easily observable characters, but it will also include, what will it include? Internal structure, structure of the cell, developmental process, ecological information of the organisms, and basis of modern taxonomical studies. So taxonomy is much more detailed. Taxonomy is going to be much more detailed. Taxonomy will include how the organism structure is, the behavior, developmental patterns. Every single thing will be included in taxonomy. In classification, just observable characters. Understood? All of you? Clear? The difference you learn, two difference you learn between classification and taxonomy. Taxonomy is much more detailed version of classification. Imagine classification evolved, that becomes taxonomy. Now, hence characterization. Oh, this is very important. What do we have under taxonomy? Taxonomy, I told you, taxonomy is a little bit advanced, right? Taxonomy is a little bit advanced now. So taxonomy has many parts. A taxonomy will include, first thing, it will include is characterization. It will include characterization. Then it will then identification. Then identification. After that, classification. After that, nomenclature. After that, nomenclature. Understand? I'll give you a simple example. You will understand this. Let's take a simple example of a dog. Simple example of a dog. Okay. Oh, why is it not eraser? Huh? Simple example of a dog now. Okay. First step is called as what? Characterization. So first, to make sure, imagine you have a normal organism. We don't know if it is a dog now. We do not know if it is a dog. First thing you will do is characterization. What is the meaning of characterization now? The meaning of characterization is you look at the organism and you tell me what can you see. Tell me all of you. If you look at an organism and you tell me what can you see, that is called as characterization. So if you look at a dog, you can tell me 4 legs, nice cute mouth, face it has, one tail is there, coat color is there, hair on throughout the body, and it is telling bow bow. So can I tell those are the characters? Okay. So once you know the characters, what is the next thing you do? Then you do identification. Then you identify, okay, this is a dog, it can be a dog. Okay. Then you do classification. What is classification? You look at morphological features. Again, you classify into dogs. Then you give a nomenclature. What is nomenclature? You give it a scientific name. You give it a scientific name. So one by one you go every single step. When you do all of this, characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature, the entire thing is called as taxonomy. Taxonomy. Crazy it is. Very easy to understand. That's all is taxonomy. Meaning of taxonomy. Okay. Taxonomy is not something new. Human beings have always been interested in knowing more and more about the various kinds of organisms, particularly with reference to their own use. Obviously, if you can use something, you have to be nomenclature it. For example, back in the days, the basic taxonomy for plants was 3 types. If you can eat a plant, it is edible. If you can't eat the plant and you fell sick, it is called as poisonous plant. And if you feel poison, if you take a poisonous plant, against this, if you eat a plant which is curing you, that is called as medicinal plant. Did you understand? So back in the day also, there was 3 types of taxonomy. Edible plants, poisonous plants, medicinal plants. How do they do it? First they characterize it, look at how it looks like, then identify it. Then you give it a classification, you group it under medicinal. After you group it under medicinal, nomenclature. For example, tulsi. If you look at tulsi plant, yes, if you look at a tulsi plant, You'll be like, okay, fine, it is tulsi plant, nice smell is there, leaf is there, so nice, you can see seeds, flower we can see. Characterization is done. With identification, yes, it is a tulsi plant. And then we'll group it under angiosperms. Then we do nomenclature, osmum santum. So that is called as taxonomy. That is called as taxonomy. Do you have any pets, sir? Yes, I have a dog. I have a dog in the house. His name is Cash. Cash is a black lab. In early days, human beings needed to find resources for their basic needs for food, clothing and shelter. Hence, the earliest classification were based on the uses. Told you, if you can eat the plant, edible plant. If you can use the plant for, if you fell sick, poisonous plant. If you are able to cure yourself, medicinal plant. If you can get a timber, again, timber plant. You can use it. For this type of classification based on use and disuse was done in the earlier days. Use and disuse was done in earlier days. Okay. Now we have one more term called as systematics. Systematics. Understand? Systematics is nothing but. It's very easy to understand again. Taxonomy plus organism behavior plus evolutionary details. When you add all three, you get the systematics. That's all. Systematics. Taxonomy, what we learned in taxonomy, plus how the organism are behaving or interacting, behavior and interaction. Plus evolutionary details. It's called as systematics. See here. The word systematics is derived, right? It's here, okay. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kinds of organisms. I want to know this is a plant. I don't want to know this is a dog. Yes. But I also want to know the diversity. How many types of dogs are there? Right? Wolves, foxes, hyenas, coyotes. All of them are like the dogs only, but a little bit different they are. But also the relationship among them. How are wolves interacting with other wolves? How are wolves interacting with foxes? That is interaction. Right? This branch of study is referred to as systematics, where we learn about organism behavior and interaction, plus taxonomy, plus evolutionary details. The word systematics derived from the Latin word systema, which means systemic arrangement of organisms. Systema. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of its publication. So this can be asked as a question. Name the book by Carl Linnaeus, Systema Naturae. Okay. The scope of systemics was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature and classification. Systemics also take into account evolutionary relationship between the organisms. See, evolutionary details. So when we include taxonomy, organism behavior interaction and evolutionary details, all three together is called as systematics. It's called as systematics. Okay. Understood? Oh, Maxi. Nice. Understood, all of you? Understood? This is called as systemics. Difference should be known. Difference between systemics, what is taxonomy, what is classification, and what is binomial nomenclature. Nomenclature means giving scientific name. Binomial means two components. Nomenclature. All of you know what is identification. All of these terms individually can be asked. Okay. Now students, before we start taxonomy category, let me take a small break. From morning I'm teaching. Okay. The last part of the chapter is left. This part. Next one, for the 20 minutes chapter will be over. But I want to take a small, 30 minutes chapter will be over, but I want to take a small break and I'll come back. See, genus, family, order, class, kingdom. That's all, the chapter is over. Living world, line by line of NCERT. Okay. So we will do taxonomy categories. I'll take a small break right now. I'll go eat my lunch and come. So time is right now is 5:40. Let's do 20 minutes break. At 6 o'clock I'll come back. Okay, 6 o'clock I'll start again. All of you go, eat something nice and come back. and I'll go eat my lunch and come. Okay. Okay. So we'll start at 6 o'clock. Arams we'll do. We have a lot of time, and we'll finish one day, one chapter. We'll finish, and we'll finish the entire chapter later on. Okay. So come back again at 6 o'clock, and we'll start. Okay. Yeah, I know it's dinner time, but what to do? Okay. So hello, welcome back to the class. So let's finish the chapter now with the last part of the topics, that is taxonomical categories. Now again, it's a very simple part. You don't have to worry a lot about taxonomical categories, and I'll tell you exactly how the question will be asked, from where it will be asked. Okay, so let's start taxonomical categories now one by one. Now let's read the first lines of NCERT. What is given? Classification is not a single step process, right? Classification cannot happen just at one go, but involves hierarchy of steps. Hierarchy means different levels of steps, in which each step represents a rank. For example, in army we have lieutenant, colonel, we have lieutenant, colonel, captain and everything. So there are different ranks in army. Similarly, in taxonomical, when you do in taxonomy, there are also multiple different ranks or different levels. Okay. Now, since category is a part of overall taxonomical arrangement, it is called as taxonomic category. For example, this is the entire building, same thing which I told you before. Here we have multiple ranks, Each rank is called as a taxa or a taxon. Same meaning, taxa, taxon. Each one is also represented as a rank. The entire thing is called as a taxonomic category. Different ranks in a particular order. Okay, taxonomic category. Okay, now students, and all the categories together constitute the taxonomical hierarchy. Now each category referred to as a unit of classification. In fact, what is unit of classification? Unit of classification is taxon, represents a rank and is commonly called as a taxon. So if someone asks you what is a taxon or a tank, if someone asks you what is a taxon or what is a taxa, it is nothing but unit of classification. Now students, next, taxonomic category or hierarchy can be illustrated by an example. Insect represents a group of organisms sharing a common feature like a 3 pair of joint legs, arthropods, which means that insects are recognized concrete by objects by which they are classified, thus are given a rank or a category. So we can place them under arthropods. Can you name any other group of organisms? Remember, group represents category. Category further denotes rank. Okay, each rank or taxon, in fact, represents a unit of classification. For example, all the Mangifera indica, for example, let me show you. Each one here is a taxon. For example, Mangifera indica is a taxon, that is the biological name. Genus is one taxon, Anacardiaceae is one taxon, Sapindales is one taxon, Dicotyledonea is one taxon, and Angiosperm A is a one taxon. Each one is a different rank. Okay, that is the meaning of that. Now these taxonomic groups carried out are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Meaning is that each one represents something, they are not just based on morphological features. Okay. Now, taxonomical studies of all known organisms have led to the development of common categories. Now, if you do enough of studies, you will realize every single rank will have one or few common features. For example, if I tell in this particular taxon, all the angiosperms are flowering plants. In this taxon, if I tell all the dicots have 2 cotyledons. Similarly, all the sapindales will have a common feature. All the Anacardiaceae will have a common feature. And we call them genus, family, order, class. This genus, family, class, order is basically a special name given to a taxon or a taxa. Okay, understand? See, that is, all organisms are developed of common categories such as kingdom, phylum, division, class, order, family, genus and species. All organisms, including those in plants and animal kingdom, have species as the lowest category. So which is the lowest category, students? Lowest category, this is a PYQ. The lowest category is the species. Okay. Now the question you may ask is how to place an organism in various categories. Like, where do you place this organism under which category? Okay. The basic requirement is the knowledge of characters of an individual. Obviously, the first step is characterization. If you want to place a dog in canines, you're supposed to know what are the features of a dog. If you want to place your Mangifera indica into mango into Anacardiaceae, you should know the common features, right? Now, this helps in identifying the similarities and dissimilarities among the individuals of the same kind of organisms as well as the other kind of organisms. So, you should know the common features. Then only you can place one organism in one particular rank or a taxon. Okay, rank or taxon. Okay, next. Now, students, this is where the question will be asked. This is what you need to understand. This is where the only place where the question can be asked often. Understand here. Now, here we have something called as kingdom on top, species on bottom. Now, first I'll tell you the trick to remember this. That is, keep pots clean. Keep pots clean, or family gets sick. Keep pots clean or the family gets sick. That is, K is kingdom, P is for phylum. It can be two types. We can have phylum for your animals and division for plants. Division is for plants. Phylum is for animals. C is class, O is order, F is going to be family, G is going to be genus, and S is going to be species. Remember this trick, you will be able to understand. Now, students, we have your kingdom here. Then we have phylum or division in the case of plants. Then we have class, order, family, genus, and finally last one is the species. Last one is going to be the species here, right? Last one is going to be species. Now, let me tell you something, one small thing here. Now tell me, where do you find more organisms, more number of organisms? Do you find more organisms in a kingdom or in a species? Do you have more organisms in kingdom Animalia, or do you have more organisms in the case of your dogs or some species, very specific species? Obviously, in the case of kingdom, we'll have more organisms, and here in the species, we'll have less organisms. Less organisms. Okay, less organisms. Okay. Yes. In coaching center, they'll teach all this. Okay. Now tell me, where do you find more similarities? In kingdom or in species level? Tell me. In kingdom level, do you think there are common features, similarities, more similarities or less similarities? See, for example, in kingdom, in animal kingdom, we have sponges. Sponges. We also have humans. Both are under kingdom animals. Do they have more similarities? Sponges and humans, do they have any similarities? No. When we compare to kingdom level, there are very less similarities. Very less similarities. When we come to species level, can I tell there are more similarities? There are more similarities. More similarities. Yes, more similarities. Okay. Now, what about specific characters? In humans, mammals has a specific character. Sponges will have a specific character. Your pteridophytes or angiosperms has flowering nature, very specific character. Or when we come to algae, has pyrenoids, which is a very specific character. So you tell me, where do you find more specific characters? In the kingdom level, or do you find it species level? Species level, most of them will have a same type of specific characters. All the dogs will have 4 legs, right? So can I tell very less specific characters, very less specific characters here when we go to kingdom level. But in the case of genus level or species level, there are more specific characters, right? There are more specific characters. There are more specific characters, can I tell? Yes, I'll move around so if you can see. Yes, more specific characters. Now, what about, there's something called as general characters now. There's something called as general characters. Specific is very specific. General will belong to all of them. Right, general will belong to all of them. Now tell me, which one will have more general characters? For example, very simple example I'll give you. All the plants will have chlorophyll A. All the plants will have autotrophs. That is the general character. All the fungi are saprotrophs. That is the general character. So can I tell general character will be more in the case of kingdom level? General character will be more here. But when you come to species level, since it's becoming very specific, general characters will be very less here. General character will be comparatively lesser here. Okay? So understand this. What is this? What is Arshita and Tanisha doing here? Attending class, ma'am. Attending. Gopika ma'am is trying to become savage. Okay. Gopika ma'am is trying to become savage little. She's like cooking, it seems. Lol. Oh God. Nice. So students, many of your questions, almost all of your questions will be, let me move ahead also. Almost all of your questions will be asked from this particular one slide itself. Okay. So with that being said, let's understand each one of them now. Let's understand each one of them. You will get a better clarity on each one of them. Like a species, when you talk about species and all. Okay. Not trying to be savage. I am savage. Yes, we know that. Gopika ma'am is very ruthless. You can't stand in front of Gopika ma'am. She'll make swag ma'am. This is one nice, this is called as private classes we have here. Okay, we have Gopika ma'am in the chat. I am teaching here. Okay, if you don't listen properly, Gopika ma'am will scold you from there. So this is nice. It's a small, much more chill class than NEET English, right? Now students, let's understand species now one by one. Okay. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with a fundamental similarities as species. So what did we tell here? See, did we learn here more similarities when we come to species level? Yes, more similarities. Species level. Okay. Species level. One should be able to distinguish one species from another species, closely related species, based on the distinct morphological difference. Obviously, because the similarity is very high, right? Let us consider Mangifera indica and Solanum tuberosum and Pantheria leo, that is lion. All three names indicates indica, tuberosum and leo. That is the species, right? See, second part is species always. Indica is a species, tuberosum is a species, and leo is a species. A species represents specific epithet, while the first word Mangifera, Solanum, Panthera is general and represents another higher level of taxon. That is, genus is higher. Okay. Now each genus may have one or more than one specific epithet. That is, Pantheria has another specific epithet called as tigress. So what do we have, students? Let me write here. What they are trying to tell you is, one genus can have more than one species. That's all. For example, genus is what here? Genus is Panthera. This Panthera can have two species. Panthera leo. Panthera leo. We can have Panthera leo. Panthera leo and Panthera tigris. This is called as genus, this is species. So one genus can have two species or multiple species. Yes. Other thing is Solanum. Other example is Solanum. Solanum can have Solanum nigrum. Solanum nigrum, deadly nightshade. Or we can have Solana melanjoni, brinjal. melongena. Solanum melongena, right? Solanum melongena, right? That is your brinjal. Or we can have Solanum nigrum, right? We can have Solanum tuberosum. Tuberosum is potato. So one genus can have multiple species. One genus can have multiple species, and all the species will have higher similarities. Okay. Now human beings belong to the species sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo, and scientific name is humans is nothing but Homo sapiens. So in this paragraph, what are we learning? We are learning that a species will have more similarities. A species is nothing but a group of organisms with more similarities, and a genus can have multiple species. A genus can have multiple species. Okay. What is special tomorrow? What is the surprise? Tell me also the surprise. Okay. Now, genus. Genus is comprising of a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to species of other genera. Yes, they have more common characters. They have more common characters. They have more common characters. More common characters. Nothing but that is common character is nothing but specific character. This is nothing but your specific character. Common characters. Common characters nothing but specific characters. Okay. Genus comprises of a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to species of other genera. So one genus and one more genus. Each one genus will have more common things compared to other genus. That's all that's saying. We can say that genera are aggregates of closely related species. So when many common species come together, they become genus. For example, potato. Simple example again. Let's take potato. Potato and brinjal. Brinjal are two different species. Yes, they are two different species. But they belong to same genus. Yes, the genus is Solanum. Solanum is a genus. Now, next one we have lion. And we have leopard. And we have tiger. All three of them belong to Panthera. Panthera. So can I tell these two genus, Solanum and Panthera? Solanum, potato and brinjal has a common characteristics in Solanum. Leo, leopard and tiger has a common characteristics in Panthera. That is, when two different species but belong to same genus, okay, with several common features, and all species of the genus Panthera, this genus differs from another genus, Felis, which includes cats. So Panthera is different from your other genus. Obviously, your Solanum is different from Panthera. That's all that I can tell you. So two genus are very different from each other, and each genus will have multiple species, and multiple species will have common features. Brinjal curry, yeah. That's what you think. Next one is family. Okay, family has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities. I told you, as we are going up the chart, similarities are decreasing. Can you see? Similarities are decreasing. Specific characters are decreasing as we go up. Right? See here. As compared to genus and species, families are characterized by on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of the plant species. Both vegetative and reproductive. Among plant examples, three different genera: Solanum, Petunia, Datura. All three are placed under the family Solanaceae. All three are under Solanaceae. Okay. Among animals, example Panthera, which has lion, tiger, leopard, we learned in previous slide, are put together with other genus called as Felis. That is the cats in the family Felidae. That is the family name, Felidae. Similarly, if you observe the features of the cat and the dogs, you will find some similarities. But similarities are more or less. Similarities are comparatively lesser now. because we're coming family level. So as we go up the ladder, similarities are decreasing. And some difference as well. They are separated into two different families, that is Felidae and Canines or Canidae. Canidae has the dog family, Felidae is the cat family. Okay. Next one is order. Now tell me, in order there will be similarities, it will be less now, less similarities. So we have seen earlier categories like species, genus and families are based on number of similarities character. Generally, order and other higher taxonomy categories are identified based on aggregate of characters now. Aggregate of many characters, we get orders now. Orders are being higher category in assemblage of families which exhibit a very few characters. See, I told you, very few similar characters now as we going up. And what is order? Order is nothing but a group of families. That's all. Plant families are Convolvulaceae, Solanaceae are included in the order polynomials. See, Convolvulaceae and Solanaceae both are families. They are included in the polynomials. That is an order. Okay. What based on the floral characters. In animals, Carnivora includes the family like Felidae and Canines. Cat family, dog family, both are included in Carnivora. So family is nothing. Order is what? Order is nothing but collection of families. Class. This category includes related orders obviously. For example, Primata includes monkey, gorilla, gibbon, is placed in class Mammalia. So many orders are coming together and we are making the class now. We are making a class. Right? Cats, dogs, everything are also under Mammalia now. Now what is phylum? Phylum is even more larger now. Multiple classes are coming together and they are making the phylum or division. Classes comprise of animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, along with mammals. Right? Constitute, see many classes, all of their classes. When many classes together coming together, they are called as phylum. Okay. All of this based on the common features like presence of notochord. So now do you see, as we are going up the ladder, can I tell the general character is increasing? The general character, which is the presence of notochord now, presence of notochord is taken. And did we learn that here? As we go up the ladder, general character increasing now. So when we are at the phylum level, presence of notochord is in all the animals. So general characters are more here. Okay. Here. And dorsal hollow neural system also included in the phylum Chordata. So in case of plants, classes with few similar characters are assigned to the higher category called division. So in the case of plants, it's called as division. Okay. Last one is kingdom, top level. All animals belong to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called as kingdom, Animalia, in the classification of system of animals. Kingdom of Plantae, all the plants. Okay. Henceforth, we will refer to these two groups of animals and plants kingdom. Okay. Taxonomic categories of these species to kingdom have been showcased in ascending order. Starting we showed. These broad categories, however, taxonomists also developed subcategories also. For example, what is subcategory, students? Subcategory is nothing but between this class and order, there can be a subclass. Between this order and family, there can be a suborder. Between this order and class, there can be something called as superorder also. Superorder. If it is up, superorder. If it is below, suborder. Superorder, suborder. Okay, understand the difference. Anything above, super. Below, suborder. Similarly, students, if this genus can have something called as supergenus. If it is below, it can be called as subgenus. That's all. Okay. See, for example, as we go higher from the species to the kingdom, number of common characters goes on decreasing. As we go up. as we go up, this specific character, I told you, specific character is also called as what? Common characters. Here we have more common characters. Can you see? Specific character is also called as common characters, more in species. As we go up the ladder, the common character also called as specific characters are decreasing as we go up the ladder. Okay, so number of common characters are decreasing. Lower the taxa, more are the characters that the members within the taxa share. So lower form will have what? Lower form will have more similarities, more common characters. Lower forms, and it will have more similarities, more common, but general characters will be less. Okay. Higher the category, greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to another taxon at the same level. Hence, problem classification becomes more complex. Okay. Now here they have given you one particular table. From this table, always there is a PYQ. If there is a PYQ, students, in this chapter, if there is a PYQ, 90% of the time it is either from this table right here, especially this notorious housefly. If it is from this housefly, or it is from the binomial nomenclature, or what is living, which we learned in the starting of it. From these three places, you will always get a question. So learn this table very well. Learn the entire process. Learn the what is living. Learn this table here. Learn this entire chart. This you never have to learn this chapter again. 4 things actually. What is living? Binomial nomenclature. This chart right here. The organism and similarities. And the last part is going to be this particular table. 4 topics from this particular chapter. That's where the question will be asked. Nothing out of it will be ever asked to you. Okay. So that is, students, you have to study only these 4 topics in this chapter. With that, living world is over, and I hope you understood some concepts. If you have some doubts regarding any topic still, any doubt anywhere, let me know in the comment section. And also let me know in the comment section about today's class, because its feedback is important, right? So let me know in the comment section about today's class, and thank you so much. Right? Thank you so much for your time. I will see you in the next class. I will see all of you in the next class.